Okay, hello YouTube. I'm back with my Mountain Dew against my better judgment. I've really been doing good this year. I know 6 days in the new year, but I've been cutting drastically on my Mountain Dew. So this is actually my first thing of Mountain Dew today. It's 1:55 in the afternoon. So before I get into the heavy topic of this video, I just wanted to say I've really been doing good on my Mountain Dew. Like all day Saturday, I did not consume no Mountain Dew at all. I just kept drinking my Lipton tea. And then Sunday, I only had 3 glasses, if that. And then Monday, I had my normal 4 or 5 cups. Yeah, I was a little bit naughty Monday. That was Love and Hip Hop Day. And today, that's just my first one. Wait a minute. What was yesterday? Is today? Lord, I'm losing the count of the days, y'all. Is the day Wednesday? Yeah, the day's Wednesday. Yesterday, I don't remember drinking that much either. I think I had 2 or 3. And today is the first one. So now that I just went to the store and I got me some Lipton, um, yeah, I'm gonna still cut down on the Mountain Dew. So that is my goal for 2016 is cutting back on the Mountain Dew. I don't have no choice. As y'all know, I got some teeth issues I need to work on. Yeah, that's the only one. And this one in here is one of them that acts like they want to cut up. So yeah, I got to really get my teeth back together. So for that reason, and the fact I'm still a diva on a budget, I can't afford to go to a dentist, colonoscopy, state board. So between them two, I cannot schedule a dentist appointment. So that's why I'm really cutting back on my sodas also. So y'all wish me luck on that. But anyways, I want to get on to topic of I think I want to save that for a later time because I did not see the video and it's a no, I did see it, so I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to talk about Whoopi Goldberg. Yesterday on the View, I did not see the actual episode. I'm about 20 episodes behind on the View. I've been catching up, so yeah, I'm still on December the 4th or something like that. But I seen the full clip segment of where she claims she's not African American, and I'm here to give my thoughts on it. I think there's so much going on with this. Everybody wants to be so politically correct and all this, that, and the third. I think it's about time I finally get my opinion on this. Um, People are comparing Whoopi Goldberg to that of Raven. I wouldn't say she's that far gone. Um, so here's my thoughts on being called African American. And before people gets off in the comment section, let me just say this. It's a new year, but I'm the same old Diva One. So just like on my Diva Natural Wine channel, when I do topics like this and somebody tries it in the comment section, I had to check one motherfucker in the comment section for the start of the new year. Let me just say this. Don't think because I don't speak Spanish that I don't know Spanish. I may not know a lot of Spanish, but I know what certain words is. So don't come on my channel with that Johto mess because you will get called. You will get called red drug for fifth if you call me a Johto. Okay. So let that be a warning to the so-called person who was trying to be bold on my ancestry video to call me a Johto and didn't think I knew what that was. Yeah. And I still stand by every bit of my words that I responded back to you if you happen to come across this channel in this video. So that being said, I want that to be a warning. I don't mind, constructive criticism or anything like that. Y'all know I've always kept my comment section open. I don't think I've never blocked nobody on this channel, no matter how harsh or the insults is. You can say I don't necessarily mind you saying the F word and all that. I pay you no mind. As long as you know not to get too carried away with it. As long as you don't start no whole soliloquy and paragraphs. As long as you don't start that old Jehovah's Witness, son of Israel, because I will respond to that and read you. If you're going to use the Bible, use it in its entirety. Don't nitpick and take half of certain sections of that what you want to use for your convenience. So know that when you make negative comments. But I do recommend constructive criticism. If you disagree with this, feel free to leave it in the comments box and leave your thoughts why. I welcome all constructive criticism. Just be mindful of any choice words and swear words that you have to say to me in response, because I will clap back. So now, 5 minutes into the video, I want to get on the topic of African American and what do I think about it. I actually agree with Whoopi Goldberg. I do not consider us black people to be African American. I consider myself to be black. Um, yeah, I just consider myself to be a black American. I don't know why there's such a discrepancy about that. It's not like I'm trying to deny my color. I'm not trying to be like, oh, Raven coon ass Symone. Now let's get that straight. I'm very much black. I'm not dark white. I'm not tan white. I'm not chocolate white. I am black. So I'm not with Raven in the bullshit of saying she's dark white. I mean, I don't understand her logic on being called dark white when she got both parents of color. Her father is light skinned and her mother's like medium light skinned, but ain't near one of them white. Now I can understand if that would have been a more better argument if somebody like T or Tamara Mari would have said they were dark white, because they're more fairer than that of Raven, and they actually have a parent who is white. But when you have two parents that are black, how are you dark white, baby? You always that bitch that got to go against the grain. You just couldn't have said you're biracial. You couldn't just say you're half black and half. You can't even say half and half. You're just light skinned, because I've seen both your mother and your father, and they both black. You probably got a 33% white or whatever in you, but you're definitely not half. So I didn't understand Raven's logic on that, but now getting back on topic a little bit, but that sort of correlated into this topic of African American. Whoopi had a good point when she said she's not African American, she's black, and we've been here about just as long alongside in the darn fields with the Native Americans that we should be considered Americans our damn selves. Um, People want to turn a blind eye to the fact that we've been here for the better part since late 1600s, early 1700s. We've been here quite some centuries. And within that centuries, we have a unique mixture and a unique mixture to us and a unique genetic adaptation that makes us a little bit different than that of a pure African, so to speak. So that being said, I don't consider us to be African American. I consider us to be black. Just like with Puerto Ricans, they had, when the Spaniards came in the late 1400s and settled in the area, and then when the African slave trade was starting up again, and they was trading Africans around the same time, you had a mixture of Africans, you had a mixture of Taino Indians, and you had a mixture of Spaniards, all mixing together, and that has what created your modern day Puerto Rican. And you don't hear your Puerto Ricans being considered African American unless they're real dark skinned, and even then they consider Afro Latina because they still have a strong Latina cultural tie. They're considered Afro Latina. But when it comes to black people, I don't see how we allow ourselves to be, swept under a veil of an entire continent. I don't know if people slept in social studies class or not, but I'm just going to let people in on a little known fact that Africa, contrary to popular belief, is not a country. It's a continent. It's the largest continent in the world, made up of 200 very diverse countries. So to say that somebody is African American and that you are of African culture, okay, define what that means. I'm going to need you to be more specific of what that means. Because when I went to school, as y'all know, this diva over here went to school for a dozen different things. Um, y'all know about the marketing, y'all know about the aesthetics, but you know, when I was deciding what I wanted to be in life, a girl thought about veterinary medicine, a girl took up, you know, history with a concentration in African studies. So I can talk on these topics a little bit. I did not go and take the advanced courses in African studies where I would have learned more about, you know, I wish I could. I'll probably go back to school just to learn it, just for my knowledge point of view, about, you know, the different African tribes, the Yoruba tribes and the Ashanti tribes and the different languages, and, you know, the true colors of the Egyptians. You actually had a lot of natural Egyptians that were about my skin color, yet when it comes to commercials, you see darn Egyptians that are about damn near white complexion. And it's a really interesting topic if you ever take up an African studies class and you see the actual whitewashing of cultures and all of that. But anyways, back to Whoopi Goldberg. I agree with Whoopi in a nutshell that I don't consider us to be African American. I consider myself to be black. Um, Africa, in a nutshell, is a continent. It is not a country. It is a country. I mean, it's a continent made up of 200 plus different countries. And to say that somebody is of African descent, I feel you can say I am of African descent, but you can't necessarily say I am of African culture, because there are different cultures in Africa. And just to say, oh, you're from somewhere in Africa, that's just putting everybody under a veil of being the same. And really, even if an African is looking at this video, I think an African can tell you they're not all the same. They're all different in their own way. You will never see a Nigerian being the same as an Ethiopian being the same as somebody of the Ashanti tribe. You'll never see somebody of the Ashanti tribe being similar to that of the Egyptians. What makes us more similar is just the epidermal color of our skin, the fact that we have rich chocolate, melanated bronze, borderline lickable sweet skin. But that's pretty much where the similarities start and end. Besides the fact that we happen to have the richest, most delicious skin of all, and we happen to be more, you know, related to the sub-Saharan mother, who is the original Eve gene, who everybody in the world has a biological connection to, the sub-Saharan woman. But I'm not going to go into that. That's a whole history lesson right there, how everybody in the world has a similar DNA trait that's related to this sub-Saharan woman in sub-Saharan Africa. So the fact that Africans are more connected to the sub-Saharan woman, that's pretty much where the similarities end and begin. We need to realize that due to genetic, you know, adaptation and different culture and views, everybody has a different ethnic group, so to speak, if that makes sense. So let me break down what a true definition of an African American is in my hypothesis of what an African American is. I don't know why we have not adopted this yet, but this is what my hypothesis of what an African American is. As y'all know, there's a popular YouTuber on here called Lovely T. I am a huge fan of Lovely T. I've been following her for the better part of about 5 years now, so I think I feel confident saying. Now, correct me if I'm wrong on the history of Lovely T. If she ever comes across this video, I would love for her to give her thoughts on this. But I would consider Lovely T to be African American. And the reason why is, once again, correct me if I'm wrong on the story. I remember reading her Draw My Life video where she said she was born in Nigeria, but her parents brought her here at the age of 5, and they was raised pretty much as American citizens, but her direct parents are born and raised in Nigeria. She was born and partially raised in Nigeria, still has the Nigerian culture, but is an American citizen. That's what I would consider to be an African American, somebody that is actually born in Africa, that was brought over here to America and is adapted to the American culture and lifestyle, but still holds homage to the African roots. So somebody of direct African descent like Lovely T, I would consider African American as far as nationality. Now, going more specifically into ethnicity, your ethnicity when it comes to Africa, more people identify the ethnicity to their cultures. Like I said, is due to genetic adaptation and what the people of that particular area all favor and are similar. Um, I'm not, how can I say it the most way not to confuse everybody? Most people are similar in ethnicity by religion, and some are similar by specific DNA that is uniquely to them and is slightly, how can I say it? It's pretty much the DNA of a certain amount of group of people within that said country that is different from anybody else. Like if you look at a Nigerian, their DNA, their skin color, their characteristics are a lot more different than somebody who is of Egypt. Somebody of Egypt in modern day is more of a light skin complexion, off-white, olively tan tone. Not to say that there are still not some true Egyptians that are my skin tone, but I'm not trying to confuse y'all. Because like I said, very old ancient Egyptians were roughly my skin color. If not, some were actually darker. Modern day Egyptians, on the other hand, happen to be very fair skinned. The bulk of them are very fair skinned. Whereas the very bulk of Nigerians happen to be very rich, dark, cool complexion. The majority. Now, like I said, there are certain circumstances where some are lighter. You got some some light skinned Nigerians. You got some dark skinned um, Egyptians. But we're going about the whole majority in the stereotype. So that being said, your Nigerian is going to be of different culture than somebody of Ethiopia, somebody different of Mali, etc. So that being said, Lovely T I would consider to be African American. Another person I would consider to be African American would be Lupita Nyong'o. Although here's where it gets complicated. She's considered African Mexican American because she was born in Kenya, brought over to Mexico, was partially raised in Mexico, went back to Kenya, then went back to Mexico when she was 16 and started adapting to the Mexican culture. And now she's an American citizen for the most part and is adapted to the American lifestyle. So her nationality I would consider to be African Mexican American. Her ethnicity, contrary to her saying Latina, I would actually say more so Kenyan. I know that it gets a little confusing. Yeah, her more of her racial background would be Kenyan, and then her cultural ties, I guess, could be Mexico. Y'all feel free. Now that's what confuses me is with Lupita Nyong'o. Y'all feel free to tell me y'all thoughts on Lupita, or what y'all would consider her. She considers herself Latina. Um, I wouldn't consider Lupita Latina because Latina, I would think of is more so of somebody who has a high degree of a mixture of African and Spanish biologically, as far as DNA goes. Um, Now Latina is a culture, but at the same time, it's a culture that slightly intertwines with DNA a little bit. Like you got to have at least a good amount of DNA in it. Not to say that you have to be full on light skin because there is plenty of Afro Latinas. You'll find plenty of Puerto Ricans that may be fair skinned but have more of a 4A-ish texture, 3C, 4A-ish texture hair. You find some Latinas that are dark, just as dark as me, and have my hair that's just as kinky. That's more predominantly 4C, but they got some actual Spainer in them. Whereas Lupita, on the other hand, she happens to be 100% Kenyan as far as her bloodline goes. Both her parents are full blown Kenyan citizens and are of Kenyan descent. So I don't see how she's claiming Mexican. I mean, she can claim it as a nationality. I don't see how you're claiming it as. I mean, and that's one of them complicated subjects because, like I said, Latina is a combination of being a culture and being intertwined with DNA. Whereas Africa is more so religious based. Like some of the African countries are more so identify ethnicity rise as far as they religious views go. But if you actually break down their genetic background, depending on what major country they're closest to, they can have a good amount of that. Like somebody who is on the outside of the country of Nigeria and they have their own country. Because, you know, some countries in Africa can be the size of a state. Like, some countries in Africa can be the size of North Carolina. But if they are closer to Nigeria, if you break down their DNA shows a higher amount of Nigerian. So their bloodline is more Nigerian, but the actual ethnicity culture is more so of that particular country because so many thousands of people are similar to that, if that makes sense. So I would love to know y'all thoughts on this, the race debacle. What y'all think about Raven Symone, considering herself to be dark white, even though she has two light-skinned parents, one that's very light, off-white complexion, and then her mother is like an entry, like borderline entry-level light skin. Like she's that brown skin that's just on the verge of being like on light skin. Like she's that yellow bone complexion, whereas her father is very red bone. Like I could, and that's a whole nother topic right there. The differences between red bone and yellow bone. So for anybody that's not black that's looking at this video, the differences between a red bone and a yellow bone. A red bone is somebody that we refer to in the hood as being, it's 2:15, y'all, at this point. People getting off the bus. But a red bone is somebody that is an off-white complexion, like a Mariah Carey, a Tia and Tamara Mari. And sometimes it can do with undertones like Rihanna is sometimes considered to be a red bone, even though she has that yellow skin tone. Sometimes she's considered a red bone because of her Caribbeanness. So Caribbeans and people who are off-white is usually what we would consider a red bone in the hood. And then your yellow bone girl is somebody that is still light-skinned but has more of a Crayola yellow color to them, like a Beyonce, Michelle Williams, Latavia Robinson, and the list goes on and on. Pretty much somebody that's super light yellow complexion, like borderline Simpsons color. That is what we consider yellow bone in the hood, and red bone is somebody that's like so fair that you're an off-white complexion. Like you look at them and you mistake them for a Latina. That like Drea from Basketball Wives. That's what we would consider a red bone too. So that is it, y'all. Feel free to tell me y'all thoughts on Raven Symone with her being dark white. Whoopi Goldberg shedding some light on African Americans, and I agree with her. I think we are considered black because the average black person's typically considered about 70%. The average black person in America is like 75% black, 20% white, about 3% Asian, and then about 1% to 2% Native American. And that's a whole nother story about the high mixture of black people with Native Americans. Um, that's a whole nother video. If y'all want me to do that, feel free to leave that in the comments box too. But there's an interesting story on how so many black people are legitimately of Native American descent, and you can find out if you are too, not only through the Ancestry.com, but tracing your lineage. Fortunately for me, all my great-grandparents are still alive, and I knew pretty much what my Indian culture was. Um, like I told y'all, for y'all that don't know, I'm part of Lumbee in Cherokee. The Lumbee is where it get complicated because, like I told y'all, Lumbee is an admixture that is not actually federally recognized as but it's an Indian culture. And like I said, that's a whole nother video. I can go for days with these videos. If y'all like more historical videos like this, y'all feel free to please leave it in the comment section. But I'm gonna click on this because I don't want to offend nobody too tough. But when it comes to Lumbees are actually a high admixture of Latina Spanish, not Latina Spanish, but they are a high percentage of Spaniard Spanish, Caucasian, with some of them being slightly into the African category. And all that unique mixture is what makes up your Lumbee Indians, which is why, due to the mixture of Lumbee Indians, is not federally recognized. That's a little known fact of why they're not recognized, along with a series of other stuff. But once again, that is it, y'all. Tell me y'all thoughts on these topics today, from the secret of the Lumbee Indians to the African cultures. Do you consider regular black people to be African American, even though Africa is a continent and not a country? Open up the discussion. What more y'all want to know? And I will see y'all soon with more videos. Mwah! It is 2:19. I'm getting ready to drink the rest of my soda. Catch up on this view. I'm about 10 episodes behind. Y'all pray for me, y'all. So that is it, y'all. I'll see y'all soon with more videos.